Basic woodworking cuts you need to know. Whether it is as basic as a butt joint or as elaborate as a curved-through dovetail, any joint can be made with one or more of the basic cuts shown in this video. A tenon, for example, is formed with 2 or more rabbet cuts. A mortise is nothing more than a deep stopped groove. A lap joint is made from 2 dadoes or wide rabbets. The secret in creating any joint is making these simple cuts precisely and in the correct sequence. Here are the all basic woodworking cuts you need to know. First, you should look at the anatomy of a board. Then, let's find out one by one. 1. Crosscut. The crosscut is the most common cut you will ever make. In fact, with dimensional lumber, which you buy that comes in various widths like you get at Home Depot, you can make entire projects with just crosscuts. All saws can make crosscuts, like the Mitre saw, table saw, or using a table saw sled to make perfect crosscuts. A crosscut is any cut that slices across the grain direction of the wood. So basically, making long boards shorter. 2. Rip cut. The second most common cut you will need to make is a rip cut, or cutting along the grain direction. Now you aren't limited to the board width sold at home centers. You can build almost any woodworking project. They can be cut with a table saw, or a bandsaw. If you only have a circular saw or a jigsaw, you are not going to have any fun making rip cuts. It would be very difficult to set up a straight cutting edge and to keep the base of the saw on the board. 3. Mitre cut. A mitre cut is any cut at an angle other than 90 degrees. Usually, for things with 4 sides, this means a 45-degree cut. They can be cut with a miter saw, a table saw, or you can use a speed square and a jigsaw or circular saw to make 45-degree angles, but don't expect perfection. 4. Bevel cut. Strictly speaking, the term bevel can describe any angled cut, but it usually refers to a cut that's angled relative to face of a material. The angle of a bevel cut is almost always measured against a square edge cut. Bevel is one of 2 possible angle cuts a woodworker can make. Unlike a mitre, which is an angle cut across the face of a board, a bevel changes the angle of the board edge. Woodworkers bevel boards or sheets of plywood along their lengths or on their ends in order to join them to create geometrical shapes, and they also bevel board edges for purely decorative reasons. It is difficult to cut bevels with any degree of precision while using hand tools. Consequently, woodworkers turn to power tools like the table saw, circular saw, compound miter saw and router. 5. Compound cut. A compound cut consists of 2 angles, the bevel angle and the miter angle. The bevel angle, or blade tilt, is the tilt of the saw blade from vertical on the saw table. This means that a normal square cut has a bevel of 0 degrees. Typically, saws have a maximum bevel of 45 degrees. They can be cut with a compound miter saw. 6. Rabbet and Stopped rabbet. A rabbet is a recess or groove cut into the edge of a piece of wood. When viewed in cross-section, A rabbet is two-sided and open to the edge or end of the surface into which it is cut. They can be cut by a circular saw with multiple passes, depending on width and depth, hand saw and chisel. 7. End notch and edge notch. Notches are an essential element of woodworking. They serve as joints for tables, chairs and other furniture projects. Basic woodworking notches are made by cutting repeatedly within the notch area to produce a series of thin wafers that can be scraped or knocked out. They can be cut with almost any saw. Notches in framing can be cut by hand with a chisel and drill. Cutting notches produces abundant sawdust and wood chips, so wear eye and breathing protection. 8. Groove and stopped groove. A groove is a slot or trench cut into a member which runs parallel to the grain. A groove is this differentiated from a dado, which runs across the grain. A groove may be through, meaning that it passes all the way through the surface and its ends are open, or stopped, meaning that one or both of the ends finish before the groove meets edge of the surface. They can be cut by a circular saw with multiple passes, depending on width and depth, hand saw and chisel. 9. Hole and stopped hole. Use a wood drill bit with a centering tip. You can use a twist drill bit for normal holes with small to medium diameter. An auger bit is recommended for drilling deep holes with diameter of 8 to 10 millimeters or more. The Forstner drill bit is suitable for drilling shallow holes of up to 30 millimeters diameter. You can drill deep holes with a hole saw, cut holes with much larger diameters than traditional drill bits. Because they only cut out the perimeter line of the hole, they are much more efficient than a spade drill or twist drill or saw. Dado and Stopped dado. A dado is a slot or trench cut into the surface of a piece of wood. When viewed in cross-section, a dado has three sides. A stopped dado is nothing more than a regular dado that ends before reaching the front edge of the piece. A notch is cut in the front edge of the shelf so it fits flush with the front edge of a cabinet, giving the visual impression of a butt joint. They can be cut with a table saw, miter saw, circular saw,